Hello, everyone. I'm doing chapter 9, which is titled Moving to Evidence-Based School Counseling Practice. My name is Felipe Bravo. Okay. So what is required to move to an evidence-based approach in school counseling? Well, there's usually four things that are required. The first thing that is required is a shift in school counseling professional orientation. So as a counselor, you might be, you've been going at it for 5, 6 years, you're comfortable in your routine. Well, and if in order to change to an evidence-based approach, that routine has to change. You have to start getting uncomfortable in your profession. Okay. Number two is a related shift in time use. This is one of the most, of all these four steps, this is the most difficult one because you're going to have to start delegating non counselor duties to other colleagues. Okay. You're going to have to start changing your approach to start collecting more data and start looking at data. Okay. So you're going to have to, like I said, you got to change that routine. Number three is the development of a new skill set, which is pretty much described in the chapters 1 through 8 of this book. Okay. Number four is a renegotiation of the professional relationship among school counselors, teachers, and administrators. Sorry, this is number four. Okay. So this pretty much is changing the way you work with your colleagues, right? You're gonna have to start changing the relationship. You're gonna start asking lead teachers and administrators to collect data for you. Start giving surveys to students in order so you can be more so it could move into an evidence-based approach for school counseling. Okay. So where is your starting point to move to an evidence-based counseling program? Okay. So you have to look at for number one, the primary factor is where you are at as school counseling position. If you're a new counselor, you've been newly hired, maybe you don't have a lot of leeway in changing the program. You're going to be busy enough um, to see how it's done and how to be an actually competent school counselor. But if you've been at it for 7, 10 years, then you're in a good position to move to an evidence-based counseling. Okay. Number two, is your school currently engaged in reform through data use? Okay. Do they want to see more information about how effective you are and make sure they want to go through, the school wants you to use data. Okay. Number three, is this reform a growing movement or is just passing phase with no bite? Okay. So that you have to decide that for yourself. Number four, find the school-wide or district-wide data use. School counselors need to use it. Okay, you can't have an evidence-based counseling without data. So you gotta start finding it in your school and district-wide. Okay, the most important point in the evidence-based counseling, or where you really want to start, is to start creating teams. Right, the first team is the BDDM team, which is a data-based decision-making team, which identifies the problems. Okay, and the next one is the RBD team, okay, which is the research-based practice team. That one that recognizes the empirically supported interventions within the scope of the school counseling program and oversees implementation, evaluation of these activities. Okay, so you're gonna have to have key administrators, key teachers, maybe even parent leaders into these teams, and you're gonna have to talk about you know what do you want to research and what do you want to define as the problems that you want to hit. Okay, the book also gives us a 5-year sequence for to start an evidence-based school program. Okay, or counseling program. On the year one is you conduct a baseline program evaluation using the ASCA national model. And number two is you construct a set of measurable school counseling competencies, student learning objective using the ASCA national standards and school and state curriculum standards. Number three is you join you create the DBDM team, okay, and and the research team. Number four is develop in team members the needed skills through professional development and curriculum. You might have to go through some training, go through seminars if you're part of the team, right? Which you have to be, and maybe other team leaders have to also, or team members have to be get some of the research, get some training. Okay. Number five is create an action plan and collect results about at least one guidance activity or curriculum. So the first year you're not going to do 8 curriculum interventions. You're going to pick one. All right. And number six is you share the information, how effective you were. Okay. This similar to second year. Okay. So the team analyzes school data and identifies vision data and benchmarks. Okay. So number two is you define 5 key program goals. Okay. So in year one, it was 1, and year two, it's 5. okay? And number 3 is you identify important student competencies, student learning objectives for guidance curriculum. Number 4 is identify research-based interventions, implementations, and evaluation plans for address program goals and student competencies, okay? Like I said, you got to start identifying more than one. Number 5 is select and implement internal guidance interventions based on data-driven needs. Okay, so number 5, you look at the data and you go from there on what needs to be where you need to do the interventions. Okay, and share the data. And number 6 is you share the data for that year and the previous year. Okay. So then we go to year 3 and year 4. For year 3, we deliver and evaluate guidance curriculum. And then we deliver and evaluate international guidance interventions based on data-driven needs. Number 3 is you monitor problem data, monitor school counseling program goal attainment. Okay, and you share information with stakeholders about from year 1 through 3. Okay. Year 4, you're almost there on a 5-year program. So you deliver and evaluate guidance curriculum, making changes based on previous year's evaluation results, right? So you start modifying, you keep the stuff that is effective and you start discarding stuff that is not, okay? Number 4 is you deliver and evaluate intentional guidance interventions, making changes based on previous year's evaluation results, right? So the presentations you're going to do in the classroom are going to change depending on the evaluation information you receive. Okay, monitor problem data. Okay, so you got to look at that. Number 4 is monitor school counseling program goal attainment, and number 5 is share information. Okay, so this is the last year of the 5-year sequence plan. So the first thing you do on a 5-year plan is continue to implement program components that have been found to make a difference. So the pretty one is pretty much chuck out the stuff that's not working and keep the stuff that is working. And the stuff that is not working, make sure you investigate and do your research on why it was not effective. Okay. Number 2 is to continue to monitor student, school, and program data. Number 3 is conduct full program evaluations, including your program. Make sure you audit the school counseling evidence-based program. Okay. Number 5 is share comprehensive program evaluation information with each stakeholders, including school board. Sharing information or giving presentation about what you've been doing and this 5-year program is vital. Okay. So reporting about results to enhance legitimacy. Okay. So the next thing this chapter talks about is how it's important for school counselors to effectively do presentations and to show how effective they are in their schools, in their school site. Okay, and it talks about 3 ways to be 3 ways in which the presentation can be must have or have this present. You must have this 3 key components to be effective. Okay, the first thing you must have is organizational theory. Okay, which is defined as discerns itself with how effective an organization is in accomplishing its goals and achieving the results or outcomes the organization intends to produce. Organizational theory is also grounded in internal efficiency. So if your school counseling program does not look efficient, they're going to get rid of it. So next budget year, the things that doesn't look like it's efficient or it's not working or it's redundant, then there's a very real danger that the school counseling program is going to be let go. Okay. So the next thing is institutional theory, a perspective where organizations institutionalize program components and process that establish rules, norms, and routines with the goal of securing social legitimacy. So this is pretty much like another way to say this is the way it's always been done, right? So pretty much you have to be an institution in your school site. Like the school counseling program is an institution that is needed. Okay. The next one is the political legitimacy. So that's pretty much what politics is all about. It's fighting for resources. Okay. And if you don't have an organizational theory, institutional theory, then they're not gonna give you any resources. So in order for you to have a good political legitimacy, you have to form good social connections with and make sure you show that you're efficient, and make sure you establish good. You're establishing a good institution in your site. Okay. So it continues to talk about how to give data effectively in presentations. Okay. So some of the key points or the key questions you have to give in a presentation is, what is your data talking about, or what is your data about? Okay, so what interventions, system groups, and your interventions is what systems did it affect, what groups did it affect, and individual students. So a good counseling program affects all three. Okay, make sure you keep records to show that. Did it make a difference? Were you effective? Were you effective in the students' knowledge, behavior, skills, and attitudes? Okay. The next one is, did you change any attitudes? All right. Did you change attitudes in family, the demographics, school involvement, teachers, stuff like that? Okay. The next question you have to ask, or the next thing you have to give in data for data is, who is your target audience? When you do a presentation, are you talking to your colleagues? Are you talking to the principal or administrators, to teachers, students, etc.? Okay. In order to also give an effective presentation is to what do you want the audience to know? So what information are you giving in your presentation? Are you sharing success and challenging intervention stories? What is the curriculum of your program? What are the program components? What is your program in general? Okay, and you make sure you make sure you have programs for proposals for changes, things that could be better for make sure for the students. Okay, information about the school counseling program and need for services, numbers of students is served. Okay, that's so. Make sure you have good record keeping in order for you to have this information. ASCO National Model and results reporting. Okay, the ASCO National Model also gives you advice, or gives you a sample of how your presentation should be ordered in order to be an effective to give an effective reporting information. Okay, if you're not effective in giving out the information, then like I said, you're gonna look redundant. You're gonna look inefficient, and once those budget cuts come every couple of years, the counseling program is always in trouble. So in order for that not to happen, in order for you to look like you're needed, or you're an essential part of the school counseling program, which every school counselor, every school should have a school counseling program should be needed, should be effective, right? So this is just an example of what of the order in which the information you should give in the presentations, right? So what is your presentation about? What data did you use and implement an intervention? Standards addressed in the activity and intervention. Number 4 is activity performed, right? The who, what, when, where questions. Number 5 is the perception data collected, the knowledge, attitude, and the skill. Okay, the behavior change measure. All right. Sometimes it's difficult to change your behavior measure, but in some it's easier, right? Sometimes you're not going to be able to change. How do you quantify student success or preparedness or readiness, right? But another thing is you can measure like student attendance, and a school counselor does affect that. Okay. Number 5 is results, the results and data. Number 8 is what was learned from the results. That could be a positive or a negative, and you have to explain why it was a negative or a positive. Number 9 is the reminder that correlation is not causation, but that school counselors are contributing in a meaningful way, right? So make sure you always keep that in mind. Number 10 is future plans for program improvement. And then you always thank the audience for their time and their attention. So reconnecting to the personal meaning of your work. Okay, this chapter also talks about make sure you don't disconnect from the reason why you're a school counselor. Okay, people go into the field of school counseling for a variety of reasons, but for most it has something to do with helping children and the youth, right? It is crucial to find the links between your original reasons for becoming a counselor and the current situation in the field. Okay, the book has like a dozen or more reasons why you should be a good school counselor and have a evidence-based approach. I just wrote 5 here that I thought were for me. It resonated with me a little more. So the first one is to do what is best for our students. That's always you're there to serve the students. You're there to be advocate for the students. So that one has to be number 1, I feel. Okay. To satisfy our own needs for excellence, you got to be a professional. Okay. To be more proactive and less reactive. That's what moving to an evidence-based school counseling program is about. to document student achievement and growth. Make sure you keep the, for some it's very hard, so make sure that record keeping is a part of your program, because you have to have that care. You have to have that information in order to show that you are effective. Okay, to keep us from wasting time and money on things that do not work or do not matter, right? So we, like I said, we want to be effective. In order to be effective, we got to throw things or throw things in our program that are not effective, that are wasting time and money. They might sound good, they might be, they might be entertaining, but it does no good to the students. And we have to find program. We have to be effective in our school counseling program. Okay. So the last thing this book talks about is the risk of change, and why going from a comfortable position to an uncomfortable position as a counselor is difficult. So learning the skills and processes in this book is the first step to improving practice. Equally challenging is actually changing our behaviors. As with our students, knowing is different from doing, right? So that never goes away, right? Just because you think you know how to do something doesn't mean that you actually know how to do it. Doing is different from knowing. What are the fears related to evidence-based practice and the data use? So what are the most common fear is lack of time, right? You're so comfortable, but as a school counselor, and every minute is every minute that you are as a school counselor is filled up. So changing that is going to be very difficult. And like I said, it's one of the most difficult steps in changing to an evidence-based approach. Okay. And the another fear is the fear of failure, right? But as entering the school counselor, I don't think we have too much of that. Okay. Presenting the results and evaluation to our colleagues or to stakeholders, even if all the news is not good, demonstrates that we are professionals who are dedicated to improving our practices. Okay. Like I said, even bad information is good because it gives us motivation to improve the students in wherever their deficiencies are at. Okay. So like I said, make sure we're not afraid of challenging information, and that we want to do, and what we want to do is best for our children, not just what is the easiest for us or what makes us look good. Okay. That concludes my presentation for Chapter 9 on evidence-based school counseling, making a difference with data-driven practices. Thank you for your time and attention.